Hi, this is Brandy. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how you can take silver charms and make them look a little bit more vintage. I'm using the Distress Embossing Powders today by Tim Holtz. Well, actually, they're embossing glazes. They have a nice transparent look to them, so they work really great for this technique. Right now I'm just dipping them in Versamark and then heating them with my embossing tool. I like to use 2 layers because it really makes the powder color show up better. If you only do 1 layer, you don't really see the color as much as you do when you have 2 layers. So most of the things I'm going to do, you'll see I'll use 2 layers of the embossing glaze. That was the cracked pistachio. Now I'm going to use the Mermaid Lagoon, and I'm still just dipping them in the Versamark pad and then coating them in the embossing glaze, tapping off the excess. Now on this one you'll see when I do the second layer, I'm going to make sure this is the one. I've watched this through already and I can't remember. So, no, this isn't the one I do it on. Oh well, I'm sorry. This is the first time I've ever done a voiceover, so y'all please forgive me when I make mistakes. I just really wanted to share how I did this. Now, I'm trying very hard right here not to touch the charm. It does get very, very hot, so I'm going to use this tool to get it off the tweezers and then reheat it just a little bit. But just remember when you're doing this technique that you do not touch the metal. It is very hot and it will burn you. I think Tim Holtz said it had to get up to like 300 degrees to melt. So that's pretty significant and will burn your fingers. On this one, on the second layer, this is what I thought was going to happen on the last charm. But on this one is when you see me use the little pokey tool and I'm cleaning out the hole that your jump ring's going to go in. If you get a lot of powder in that hole, make sure you clean it out. It's much easier to clean out when it's a powder than if you wait and do it after you've already melted it. Now, since this shell charm was already kind of that brass antique look, I went ahead and just decided to use a Versamarker and color in some lines there. And I'm just trying to get the powder to stick on those lines I colored. As you can see, it kind of stuck other places too. But once you melt it down, you really can't tell in the video as much, but it did pretty much stay mainly in the areas where I had put the Versamarker. I'd use a technique a little later in the video that helps you be a little more precise with where your powder sticks. This was all experimentation. I had absolutely no idea what I was doing, so I'm just trying things out, really just seeing what I can do with these metal charms. I had watched a demo video with Tim Holtz and I saw how he had used the embossing glazes to color metal. I love to use metal charms and other metal things. I do metal stamping and make jewelry, so I was just really curious what you could do with metal. Now this little charm here, I'm going to heat him up, and he doesn't do as well as some of the others, and I think it's because the shape of the charm, but he ends up getting very globby. That's the only way I can describe it. Like it just like globs of powder sitting on top of him. I am cleaning out all the holes, the little tail that wraps around, and then also the hole that the jump ring fits in. I do think I went overboard with how many layers I put on this one. You kind of lose the See, there I go cleaning it after it's melted. It's a mess. Clean it before you melt it. But this one really doesn't look good with that many layers on it. It's a smaller charm and it already had a lot of detail. So it really just made it kind of look globby when I put that many layers on. And I'm struggling right here to get all of that melted embossing glaze out of the little holes for the tail and for the jump ring. So just be careful and clean that out beforehand, because like I said, it's way easier to do when it's powder. Now I'm going to try, I had bought these, I think they're made by Vintage by Ranger. It's a patina, so it's a permanent coating you can put on metal to add color. So I'm taking some of those charms that I used in the beginning that I had done the embossing glaze on, and I'm just going to add some of this metal patina. I'm not sure what colors these are. I'll put them in the description. But I'm trying to hit just certain areas of the charm and just add a little bit of an accent color. I did come back, that's a little squished up. You can't tell what I have in my hand, but it's a little squished up piece of tissue. And I'm just using that, trying to knock off some of the patina so it's more sitting just on in the crevices instead of on the high points. So I decided I want to try to paint one completely with it, since I hadn't used, this is the first time I'm ever using this patina product. I had never used it before. So I was really wanting to experiment with it and also to see what could be done with this product. I forgot to take the jump ring off, so I'm taking off the jump ring. That way I can color the little tab at the top, make sure it's the same color as my charm. And this stuff surprisingly dries pretty quickly. So if you just do a thin layer, it dries pretty quickly. I would recommend you have some tweezers to hold it with though, so you don't get it all over your fingers, and also take the paint off of the charm. I'm going to come in with this second color just to add some more interest to it. This one I think is more of a copper color, whereas the other one's more of a gold color. So I just wanted to add a little bit more dimension to this little charm. Now I'm going to use this blue color. I can't think of the name of it. Like I said, I'll have to list it. But I'm wanting to put it just in the little crevices of the charm, because it has like little lines that are a little bit deeper. So I'm wanting to put it in there, and it's supposed to look like an aged copper. So I'm just adding a little bit of colors here and there, just trying to get that look that I want. Like I said, I was just experimenting. I really didn't know what to expect and really had nothing in mind for the outcome. I'm just playing around. Now this white stuff that does go on clear, this is the matte, like, oh gosh, I can't think of the name of it, but it's a finish you put on the top of it. It's a sealer. That's the word I'm looking for. It is a matte sealer. So it does have a matte finish, but it's going to seal up the product and help it to stay on. Next, I'm going to use this little shell charm, which also has that antique brass look to it. So I'm going to paint some of the patina on, and then I'm coming back with that tissue again because I'm trying to wipe off some of that color. And then I did realize while I was wiping it off that the color of the charm itself was coming off. So I painted it, and now I'm adding some of that beautiful aqua blue color to it. I'm going to wipe it off again. I'm trying to make it just sit in the low points. I'm kind of wiping it off the high points, and then I decide, I wonder what will happen if I add some, like I was telling you earlier with the Versamarker, I'm using some of that patina and trying to get a more controlled, I guess just control better where the powder sticks. And I'm just actually dipping it. I found just dipping it straight in the powder is the best way to do it. But I really like how that turns out. You have a lot more control over where the powder sticks. I do know now from watching some other videos that if you use collage medium, that it makes it stick well. And also if you use like something like this patina stuff. Now I put a whole lot on there, and I really wasn't happy with it because there again it was starting to look globby, but I had it super wet, and then I dropped it, and when it flipped over, it's like a happy accident because most of it came off, but it was still sitting in the recessed areas, and that was just perfect because that was really what I loved. So I was like, great, now you know what to do. So if you get too much and it's kind of globby and you do have some areas where it's sitting and you like it, just kind of, put it on a surface like this envelope and just kind of scrape it and it'll come off. So I added a little bit more of that aqua color. And I am going back with the Versamark because I kind of want to get a thinner layer all over, just dabbing it in. Because, like, remember the embossing glazes are translucent, so you're going to be able to see that aqua patina through it. And this is one of my favorite pieces. I love how that one turned out because you can really see the aqua patina under it, but yet you see that, I think I was using Vintage Photo of the embossing glaze over it, and it really gives it a nice antique finish. So now I'm totally into using this patina with the embossing glazes. So I'm adding a little bit of that matte patina onto this charm. And I am going to dip it in the Vintage Photo and heat it up. I'm still experimenting, have no idea what I'm going to get from this. And I get a melted envelope. Do not use an envelope to melt things on. It does not work if it's, to heat things on. Doesn't work. So I found some packaging to put it on. Could have just set it straight on my glass mat, but it wouldn't have shown up in the video very well. So I'm heating that up with the Vintage Photo, and I really love how that looked. Now that was one that I had coated in the Mermaid Lagoon, and then I came back later and just added that patina to it. Now this fish here is going to be a lesson in enough is enough. You cannot keep adding things because it's all going to turn out very badly if you do. So I am putting some of the patina on and going to dip it in this cracked pistachio color. And if I would have stopped here, it probably wouldn't have been okay. So I'm looking at it and that looks pretty good, but of course, I'm experimenting. So anytime you're experimenting, of course, you're going to go overboard because, you got to see what you can do. So I'm adding a whole lot of that patina on there. See, that's the matte patina glaze that I'm showing you. And we're going to dip it in the Vintage Photo. First, I got to chase it around a little bit. Now I see I didn't put a ton of the patina on there. Maybe I just was trying to put it on the lines. So I got that melted and that looks nice, and I'm really liking that. Now when you heat the metal, and once you have a layer, when you keep heating it, it's like liquid, and you can really kind of control how it moves around on your piece. and lets that color, you can kind of shift it and move it. So it's really cool. It's fun to experiment with. So I'm going to add these lines, and I do believe this is where I go overboard. I think it's this spot. I don't know. I do a lot on this little fish, poor thing. But on this one, I was trying to just paint where those darker lines were on the fish, just to add a little bit of an accent. And probably if I would have left it at that, he would have been okay. I have him stuck to the board. Got to peel him off. So that patina stays wet for a long time. So even though it took me a little bit to get him off of the board, I'm still able to dip it and to get it on there. All right. So yes, this is where I'm starting to heat him, and I'm kind of moving it around, trying to see what I like and what I don't like. So this is yep, see, this is where I mess up. This is what not to do. It was all wet. It was gobby. There was tons on there. And, I'm going to get a toothpick and try to just pick off places. But it's wet. It's all one piece. So everything came off. So I'm going to start all over again. I'm brushing it with some of the gold or copper patina. I'm not sure. And I'm really trying to rub it down into the little crevices of the fish charm. Now I'm going to go back to the Versamark. You get a thinner layer if you do the Versamark. It doesn't get as goopy, but it also doesn't stick to the metal as well, and it can chip off easier. So just keep that in mind. If it's something that's going to get banged around a good bit, you may not want to use the Versamark on it. So you can really tell how rubbing that in kind of made that look nicer. But there's the video. These are all the charms that I made. The one silver little fleur-de-lis right there is one that I did not put the glaze or anything on. That's what it looked like to begin with. So I hope you have fun trying this out, and I hope y'all have a great day. Come back again. Bye-bye.